Welcome to Profit Pulse. And today, we're diving into one of the most controversial, exciting, and brutally misunderstood questions in the world of wealth. Can anyone really turn $100 into $100 million? It sounds insane. It sounds impossible. It sounds like one of those flashy, hyped-up claims you see online. But the truth, the real truth, is far more complex, far more surprising, and far more eye-opening than you think. So sit back, clear your mind, and listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you might completely change the way you see money, growth, effort, time, and the journey of building wealth. And if you're new here, welcome to Profit Pulse, where we break down wealth, psychology, and financial reality with complete honesty. Let's start with the question itself. Can someone start with just $100 and end up with $100 million? At first glance, it looks like a mathematical joke. When you hear the phrase from $100 to $100 most people think of shortcuts, luck, viral success, or some magical overnight formula. But the truth is, wealth creation doesn't come from the money you start with. It comes from the growth engine you build, your hunger, your mindset, and your ability to create value at scale. In fact, almost every billionaire or multimillionaire you know today didn't start with a huge bank balance. They started with a small amount, or no amount at all. But they had something powerful, a process, a formula, a mindset that multiplied effort over time. But before we get into the formula, let me ask you something. When you think about money, what do you really think wealth is? Most people think wealth is a number. But real wealth is a system. A repeatable, scalable mechanism that turns effort into income and income into opportunity and opportunity into impact. When you understand this, suddenly the idea of turning $100 into $100 million doesn't look like fantasy. It looks like a logical chain of interconnected decisions. The first truth you need to understand is this: $100 alone will never make you rich. But the mindset behind using that $100 can. You see, most people treat $100 like something they should protect, save, hold on to tightly, clutch like it's their last breath. But the people who build massive wealth don't treat money like a fragile egg. They treat it like a seed that must be planted, risked, tested, exposed to uncertainty, and given time to grow. When you plant a seed, it doesn't grow instantly. It doesn't become a tree the same day. And yet, millions of people today want their money to act like magic. Put it somewhere for 30 days and expect a miracle. But that's not wealth building. That's gambling dressed as hope. So how does someone go from $100 to $100 million? It happens in stages: painful, slow, sometimes humiliating stages that build your intelligence, your resilience, and your ability to create high-value opportunities. The first stage is survival, learning how to use a small amount of money to create momentum. Let me break it down in simple terms. $100 can buy tools, not wealth. $100 can buy knowledge, skills, or raw materials, not riches. But when you use $100 to buy something that increases your capability, suddenly your earning potential expands. Suddenly, you're not just surviving, you're creating. Let's say someone invests $100 in learning a skill: marketing, editing, coding, designing, sales, trading strategy, or anything that generates value in the marketplace. That skill turns into a small income. Maybe you make $500. Then you learn how to scale it. Now you make $2,000. Then you improve the system again. Suddenly it's $10,000. The number grows, not because the initial $100 was magical, but because you became the growth engine. And this is where the second stage begins: leverage. Leverage is the multiplier. If you want to go from $100 to $100 million, you need leverage. Time leverage, skill leverage, capital leverage, content leverage, software leverage, network leverage, brand leverage. Without leverage, wealth caps out. With leverage, it compounds beyond imagination. But leverage doesn't appear on day one. It's earned, built, and refined over years. Real leverage comes from systems. Systems that work even when you're not working. Systems that scale even when you're sleeping. Systems that deliver value even when you're not physically involved in every step. You see, the average person thinks becoming rich is about working harder. But the wealthy know it's about building machines. Machines that expand your efforts beyond your physical limits. Machines that take your time and multiply it. Machines that turn value into exponential growth. And what powers these machines? Skills, strategy, execution, and resilience. Not luck. Now here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Turning $100 into $100 is possible, but it requires years of relentless focus, painful growth, and thousands of small decisions made correctly. This isn't a hack. This isn't a shortcut. This isn't a lucky lottery moment. This is a disciplined journey of compounding action. But here's where it gets interesting. You don't need to hit 100 million for this mindset to change your life. Even if you stop at 1 million, 5 million, or 10 million, the process is the same. The scaling engine is the same. The psychology is the same. But let's go deeper. Why do most people fail? Why do most people never break out of the $100 mindset? Because they underestimate time and overestimate intensity. They think success is about massive, explosive action. But real success is about small, consistent actions, accumulated quietly, patiently, without applause. It's not the big steps that build wealth. It's the small ones repeated relentlessly. But people quit. They lose motivation. They expect results too quickly. They get distracted by comfort, entertainment, comparison, and doubt. Wealth requires discipline, and discipline is rare. Wealth requires consistency, and consistency is painful. Wealth requires patience, and patience is not natural to the human brain. The truth is, you can go from $100 to 100 million, but the question is not whether it's possible. The question is whether you can become the kind of person who makes it possible. Because the version of you who has $100 cannot make 100 million. You must evolve, transform, grow, expand, and break your old patterns. You must become someone new. Wealth is created by becoming a different human, one who thinks differently, acts differently, and builds differently. And the greatest multiplier of wealth is not money, it's identity. When you change your identity, you change your decisions. When you change your decisions, you change your trajectory. And when you change your trajectory, you change your destiny. Think about it. Every wealthy person today began with one small, fragile, imperfect step. The difference is they kept going. They didn't stop because things were slow. They didn't stop because things were hard. They didn't stop because growth looked invisible. They kept going because they believed in the compounding effect of effort. That's the real mantra, the core truth, the hidden formula. Money multiplies only when the person behind the money multiplies. You can't cheat growth. You can't cheat time. You can't cheat discipline, but you can master them. So let me give you the simplest way to understand this journey. If you want to turn $100 into something extraordinary, stop focusing on the money. Focus on the skill. Focus on the systems. Focus on the value. Focus on the mindset. Because once you have those four things, wealth becomes a side effect. Not a target, not a dream, not a miracle, a side effect of who you've become. And if this message opened your mind, if it gave you a new way of seeing wealth and possibility, then make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to Profit Pulse so you don't miss the upcoming videos. And if you ever feel like supporting me or supporting this channel financially in any way, just let me know in the comments. Your support means more than you know.